Okay, Marshall.
Ready for me? You guys all got my letters?
Yep.
They have it all. They
Okay.
have statements, the letters, all.
I guess I just need to clarify if you guys are okay with how I handled this. There's a control burn that got out of control. This is the second year in a row, almost to the date. There was an incident where a fire truck backed into a vehicle out there on scene, out in the field. The kid should not have been out there. And I don't feel that the county should be responsible for him pulling up behind a fire truck while they're trying to do their job and get back into it. Of course, if the guy doing the controlled burn would have followed the regulations, it had never been out of control, we'd have never been there, and the accident would have never happened. And I don't know if Mike read through the letters, I know I emailed them to him, but did you guys get the bill as well? Yeah.
They have everything that I have, so
Okay.
yeah.
But I guess I just want to make sure you guys are okay with that you feel the same way, or do I need to do something different? I mean,
What specifically were the guidelines that weren't followed, just so I know? I mean,
so he was burning a brush pile in CRP grass. No tractor, no water, no disc line around it, lit the tree pile on fire and it got away.
yeah,
So absolutely no prep work, nothing.
yeah. Okay,
And the reasoning for the other kid being out there in the pickup was because the guy doing the control burn had sent him over to get the fire department because he didn't want a certain piece of that property to burn up. And I just feel that if he'd have taken his time and done what was required by our burn permit and resolution, that it would have never got out of hand.
So he burned a brush pile that was in CRP grass, that discing around it, no water. And when you guys showed up to put out the fire, then he wanted to direct you over to an area that he wanted to make sure didn't burn.
Yep,
So it sounds to me like he was setting a fire and then wanted you guys to come out and
pretty much.
take care of it. And then this isn't the first time?
No, so that happened on 3/28 of 2021, and on 2/10 of 2020, it was basically the same thing. Crew noticed that around the two burn piles, there was no disc line around them, no fire break to keep it from spreading into the CRP. This was in 2020.
There was one before that too, Marshall.
Yeah, it was about 2 years, 2 or 3 years prior to
The
it.
same thing.
did you bill him last year too?
No,
So this is more of an, he's getting to be an habitual on it?
yes.
And when you get your burn permit, you basically sign a deal or basically that says you'll have water or prepared it somewhat.
Yeah, in the burn guidelines, it has a resolution and all that on what you are required to do
Okay.
on your burns. And even last year, when he was contacted, he was gonna redo his burn permit, which he done. He was given a verbal warning that his burn permit was for only authorized people and that he understood everything. So he was advised this year that he would also be receiving a bill.
Yep.
And I have permanently suspended his burn permit. In the letter, I told him that from here on out, I'm gonna require him to have someone come down and burn it for him. And we would approve it prior to being done. Because like I said, this is the second year in a row, same incident, and then there's been at least one other time that he's done this as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it
It's a
just,
sensitive area also. I mean, stuff can get out of hand pretty quick up there.
yep, because we just bought 4,400 acres of it up there,
Yeah,
just straight north of where this happened.
yeah,
That's
yeah, it
where
can
we
get out of
spent-
hand quick.
Where we spent, I don't know, 16, 18 hours. So, I mean, and the access to it is is horrible. All that ground up there is just underwater.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up stuck on his fire. And then Tuesday, when we were out there all night long, we had trucks stuck Tuesday and Wednesday. And so, I mean, it's a bad area, and I think the caution up there is probably more so than anywhere else. This all took place just literally across the road to the west of Quivira.
Yeah.
So. But I mean, if you guys are all good with that, and as long as Mike says the letters are okay, I'll probably change my dates on them and send them out.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, Marshall and I talked
Please,
about
Tom.
last week
Sounds
about
good.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the subject and agreed.
so, and then I guess we'll just see if they wanna argue with us on the repairs of the pickup or not. I mean, that's all I have on that.
Okay. And then,
Well, and I don't know, we've kinda got some of the trucks fixed from that fire up there, by Quivira. I've got a guy coming this week to work on another truck. We did have to get Dunans out there with their big 5-ton military truck to get a couple trucks winched out. So we'll have a bill on that, but, big front wheel assist tractor couldn't get them out, and we didn't know what else to do, so. But they got us out, so I guess that's the main thing.
okay,
So were there any major damage to the trucks or just,
No, and I just think it's probably, one of them that we got fixed ourselves was a fuel-related issue. The standpipe in the tank broke off and it was sucking air, and then it quit running, and we got it fixed. Now we got another one that I don't know, I think it's almost probably an injector issue.
now these brush trucks?
These are the big 5-ton military
Five,
trucks.
okay.
So we had a few small things on some smaller trucks, but those have all been repaired. So we might have just one truck that might need some injectors or something. A little bit out of my realm is figuring out what it is,
yeah.
so.
Is there anybody around that specializes in those military type trucks like that?
The city of St. John's been using a kid out of Ellenwood that has a mobile service truck, working on all their equipment, and he's the one that I contacted. I asked him how familiar he was with them. He said, I work on them all the time. So he'll come to us, and it saves us from having to try to shuffle a truck around.
Yeah.
I know when we talked to Dunans in Great Bend, they were like 2.5 weeks out. And I prefer to have them up and going and a little sooner than that. So,
Okay.
Okay.
what about the other day?
The sewer deal?
Mm-hmm.
Why y'all look at me? Have you talked to him up there about that account?
Yeah. I mean, it's under their own EIN number, they've been following it, it's not been followed in the county.
Perfect.
The way I understand it, that account's been there for 20 or 25 years. The fire department up there at Seward used to sell fireworks for a fundraiser for the, sewer firefighters. And there's been donations from memorial funds that went to it. And that, the way they see it, that money is for what stuff we need at the station, or if we wanna, next meeting, if we wanna decide we wanna buy some hamburgers and cook hamburgers afterwards, that's what that money was spent for.
I found some old minutes.
Yeah, I'll just,
It's, Todd, it's right there. The green box is highlighted.
questions have arisen about these accounts since they are not being handled through the treasurer's office as all other county accounts are. Discussion followed with the end result being that the accounts in question are operating under a separate tax ID number, not the county ID number. Thus, the county has no authority as to the activity of the accounts and holds no responsibility for the management of the accounts. It was a recommendation of the CPA that the EMS and fire departments keep accurate records of all activities of the funds, that the necessary paperwork be filed with the IRS to remain a nonprofit organization.
Well, and that's my question, are they a non-profit organization?
I don't know. That's
Does anybody know?
That came from Terry Brown years
That's their-
ago.
That's
That's
their
on
response,
them.
that's on
Has nothing
them.
to do with us.
They've been filing, I guess they've been filing their taxes on that account, so
Have they?
they told me they
I-
had, said they've got their own, but if they're not, and they're not using the county's EIN number, I mean,
Yeah.
we still have no,
Melissa
But
told
it's-
me,
but-
as long as
but
they're
if
not
they-
under our EIN number, there's nothing we can do about it.
But if they don't file, they lose their tax exempt
And
status.
that's on
Yeah.
them.
And
But
all-
then it's gonna fall back on us, cause it's income.
it's not showing income to the county.
It's not tied to us.
I understand that. Well, it is.
It's to the Seward firefighters reserve,
It
something
falls
like
to
that.
Seward, is what Melissa told me.
And I told them they
Well,
should, instead of having private individuals run that account, they should run it through the city. And
Yeah.
tie it into the city of Seward to where there's more.
No?
I wouldn't recommend that, but hey, if somebody wants to do it, that's, I mean, then it becomes taxable income. I mean, here's my, and I wasn't around when this all went down, but the Seward Fire Department, correct me if I'm wrong, we have volunteers, but they get paid if they do a run.
Correct,
And they're using equipment paid for by the county.
correct.
So they are a county entity. And I did some research and there's requirements on public funds, what has to be done with them. And my opinion is there needs to be some sort of an accounting. I mean, even if you wanna, if that's your decision and you wanna keep it here in a separate account, I think there needs to be some accountability of public funds. And what I'm really concerned about is I don't even know whose name is on this account. Is it a county employee? Or, I mean, I just don't know.
I think it's Howard Fisher and his wife. But now, if you wanna set it up with the fire department and do what you call a standby burn on CRP, you know, you make arrangements with them, if you, like what Keenan could do, you make arrangements with them and tell them that on this day, you wanna do a burn.
Right.
So it's one truck and 2 firefighters and it costs you $150. So you wanna burn some CRP and you do that, then you make your check out to Stafford County firefighters. And that money goes into the, you know, into the machinery fund or whatever fund that is. But then
That's a county account.
that's a county account. And then if the person appreciates everybody that belongs to the fire department up there at Seward because we've had trouble getting our numbers, and then they write a separate check to the Seward firefighters blah, blah, blah fund, that's the fund that we're talking about.
I understand
So
that.
they've already paid,
I understand that.
they've already paid for the county's truck and the county's
How is
time.
it any different if EMS makes a run and somebody says, I'm so happy that you got here quickly, here's an extra $100?
Yeah,
Is that not county money?
I don't know. It's only county money if they put the county name on the check. If they give you $100 or they give you a gift, if they give a gift card to Misty down there for $50 to, you know, take everybody down to Squeaks and mime dinner because you wanna show your appreciation for the good job they did to taking care of their mother, should they sign that gift card over to the county? Cause that's
If I were
county.
Misty, I would say I'm not gonna take it.
Yeah, do you see there being a problem with being able to do that?
I would have some trepidation, I guess. You know, I mean, if it is just Joe Blow doing something and you wanna give a donation, that's one thing. But when you're dealing with county employees and county equipment, I would have.
I mean, that the, the reason that they're appreciative in giving an extra bonus or an extra payment is because of the services provided by the county. Whether it be this fire department or this fire department or this fire department, it's all county fire, it's all county.
And that's my point.
I guess I kinda look at it a little bit different, I mean,
No, that's fine. I'm just telling you,
I see both sides of it.
I'm giving you my thoughts. You want my thoughts? That's what I think.
Yeah.
up till a year and a half ago, or a year ago, we had 2 firefighters on the north end of the county for 2 stations. We did a little bit of talking and got some more members to join. And I think the people, and I think Marshall will agree with me, people that respond out of Seward and Radium have got 10 times better as far as actually showing up and responding. So I don't think it's a bad deal for the public up there that just wants to buy them a hamburger, you know, make it to where you can grill a hamburger after a meeting or do something like that, to show your appreciation for your neighbor that steps up and becomes a voluntary fire department.
But that neighbor's getting a paycheck every run he makes.
Yeah,
And if he gets hurt, county insurance is gonna pick up the medical bill.
At the end of the day, whether it's right or wrong or how it should be, is there really anything that we as commissioners could do about it even if we didn't like it? Because it's a separate tax ID number and the checks are being made to a specific fire department memorial fund or?
I think you can. I think you can, if nothing else, request some type of an accounting so you at least know what type of money you're talking about and who's on the account, and how it's deposited. I mean, the statute says it has to, there's certain requirements of what bank you have to have
The
it
problem,
deposited at.
the problem that I see, I think right now, we're talking about less than $5,000, are we not?
yeah.
The problem that I see is when Joe Blow, such and such, passes away and leaves $100,000 to this memorial fund or such and such fire department, you know, specifically to a certain fire department, then we're gonna have an issue on the accounting process of those dollars. I mean, when you're talking big, and I'm not saying it could happen. Somebody could pass away and leave a big sum of money. And then we would have no accounting of it.
Were you on here trying to make?
And have no way to have any,
That's the argument that some people give for why community foundations exist. It gives you a place to place that kind of stuff with some permanency to the, you know, the
Like,
record keeping and the.
I know Lynn and Adrian gave Maxwell some money last
And
year. Did that go into the auxiliary fund? Where'd that go?
That went, we deposited that into the budget. I transferred it out of the budget into
Into
the
your
reserve.
reserve?
And when Maxville Fire Department decided to buy their equipment for the rescue unit,
Okay.
we cut them a check.
It was basically earmarked for them.
You track that, because we don't
Yeah.
track it here.
And I think if Seward got a donation to buy some rescue equipment, or to buy a truck, or to buy a monitor for a truck, they would put that money in, that money would go to the county, because it's going on a county truck.
If
I'm
the
talking
donor
about-
earmarks it for a truck or a.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess my question is this. So the 2 standby control burns were not billed. So the 2 that Seward done, the county footed the bill for the personnel and the trucks with no payback.
I think they talked to you about calling those
And-
a training.
And I had, and that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
But in the future, I mean, if we're doing this and they're gonna pay, I don't think that the county should be liable not to send them a bill for a standby at least, whether it's training or not. I did approve it, I'm not gonna deny that.
I don't think they would have a problem, because one of them was for me.
Right.
I don't think you'd have a problem if you wanna call it a controlled burn to,
And I'm not, I guess from here on out, I guess I need direction of what, because now if Stafford wants to do this and Maxville wants to do this and
Then
Hudson
all of a
wants to
sudden,
do it.
every year, every control burn is
yeah.
trained.
Every year, every control burns training and then we have everybody in the county and it does nothing but cost taxpayers money.
Yeah,
and then everyone's gonna set up their own little fund and
as long as they have their own.
So if the
EIN number.
firefighters at St. John wanna have, if you have a work day and work on the trucks and you wanna show your appreciation, and you go down there and buy 7 or 8 large pizzas to feed everybody, what does that come out of?
Typically, when St. John does it, the city either pays for it or the auxiliary, St. John City Auxiliary pays for it. Now, like the days that we worked on the training facility, the county paid for it, for all them people. I took it right out of the budget.
So we're going to, one of our lines that goes, the suction line down in the tank is broke off in our one truck. So we're gonna take a Saturday and take the whole top off the fiberglass tank and fix it ourselves. Now, if we want to, you know, show appreciation and go down to Mom's and buy hamburgers for everybody there, where do we need to get that money from?
Typically, I would pay for it
Yeah,
with county credit card.
Cause you're working on a county vehicle.
yeah. But if we do that, we'll pay for it out of that sewer auxiliary firefighters fund because it's just easier to do it that way.
Right?
But I think if the county, if the commissioners decided that we wanted to go after that money, I guess that's where me and Mike disagree. I mean, there's no county name on there, they haven't filed on their county EIN, I don't know, I think it would end up in a big lawsuit, whether,
And I don't know that it's
It's,
worth causing a huge lawsuit over a few $1,000s. Where I see, like I said, it being a problem is if there was large money.
yeah, and if there was larger money, it'd have to be something different.
Well, what my concern is, we don't know if it's a nonprofit. We have no idea what money's in there. We don't know who's on the account. I mean,
So if you, if they made a report on a yearly basis to the commissioners that said who was on the account and how much money was in there, would that make you happy?
it'd make Melissa happy. She'll be here next week, well.
Because I talked to Melissa and Melissa
Yeah.
was the one that said you ought to run it, see if could run it under the Seward City Council.
I'm already a happy fellow, but yeah, it would make me feel better.
But
Well, maybe that's something that we should request of the people that are on the account, is that we just would like an annual report of the funds available and a summary sheet.
We can make that.
Because I
I
see
do.
both sides of it, but
But if you start reporting to the county does, and it then kind of say, well, you're agreeing that it's county money? Because I think that's our big deal.
You're not, the county's not tied to it by an EIN number,
Right.
and that's
So
all
as long
Melissa
as,
said.
as long as somebody's
we're-
paying taxes on it.
Yeah, I mean, and I would think they would want to be transparent and accountable, if not to you, the other firefighters. I
Yeah.
mean,
I agree with you.
we don't care what they spend their money on, I mean, and like you said, it's $5,000, it's not,
I don't even think it's fine.
Well, I do know to
not worth-
maintain their tax exempt status, that they have to file with the IRS every year. But they can do that on an e-card, as long as their income is less than $50,000 a year. But if they don't file, then they lose their tax exempt status. So I think the most important thing is to make certain that they click on the e-file postcard and fill in the name and the EIN number, and you're good to go.
And I don't really even care about the money that they have in that account. What I care about is how do we prevent, and I'm not saying they would do it, but how do I prevent them, some guy coming and saying, hey, come do this for me and I'll just pay you money. And then we turn around and we have, well, they're out doing that and I know nothing about it, and truck breaks down, then we have repairs, and then we're paying people to do stuff. I mean, there's just gotta be some way that we aren't just out running around doing whatever we want,
can you
because,
tell your chiefs that all controlled burns have to go through you?
yes.
And then the county will bill the Todd Wyckoff
I
for his
just feel
controlled
that
burn?
if we're gonna be doing standbys and stuff like that, that stuff needs to be billed. like Todd said, I did agree to these. I did tell them that, yes, they could do it. I told them, I said, don't be the ones lighting the match because then we're responsible. But I said, once fire started, you can do that.
What, what would be wrong with, if you were to have these accounts, making Marshall on the account?
I just think that what happened, and I don't know
I'm just
who's on-
adding
I
him
don't-
just
I don't
as a
know who's on the
non-participating,
account,
just as a non-participating member, that your county
But-
fire chief's on the account.
But Seward needs to realize if there's only 2 people on the account and they both get wrecked tomorrow and die, what happens to all that money?
Well, yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
That's why I thought that they should run through the
It-
Seward
I
City
mean-
Council. I think what Seward, I think,
Seward
part-
City Council's a revolving door too,
yeah,
so,
I think the north end of the county kind of feels like, you know, we don't get any economic development up on the north end of the county. Sometimes we feel like people believe that the Stafford County ends a mile north of St. John, Maxville, and Stafford. You know, we've heard time and time again, if you just need something, you make a request and you get it. Now, for 4 months, we've needed a bigger nozzle because our other big nozzle disappeared. And we needed a whip line because it was spraying out like a garden hose. We ended up getting old ends and making it our own whip line for that, but I mean,
But there's no one on that end of the department that has told me that stuff.
well, when I've talked to Harold and Cale, they both said they'd made the request and talked to Nemick about it.
Neither one of them, nobody has ever said anything to me because I've never denied any department, any equipment.
I'll talk to them again and find out what the deal is. But I guess that's what, up on the north end of the county, it feels like we don't get much.
I don't know how much more they could get. We gave them a brand new truck.
Yep, yep,
I mean, I'm pretty sure that the north end of the county is probably operated better now than it ever has been, and they've got more equipment than they've ever had.
yep.
And I don't know as I've ever once told them, no, you can't do that, or no, we won't get it for you.
Yep. Well, I'll talk to Cale and Howard to find out where the communications went wrong between our big nozzle and our whip line that we needed.
Yeah, because I can honestly
'Cause
tell
I
you,
don't know whether
I knew
they-
nothing about it.
Really?
Nope. And in fact, we probably have it sitting right out there in the storage shed.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it always seems.
I've tried to make sure that we have that stuff on hand, so when something happens, we have it and it's ready to go.
I mean, there's no limit to the amount of people that you can, reasonable limit of the amount of people that you can add on to an account. And if there's gonna be an account, to me, it makes sense, you know, maybe that's something we need to look at, is having the fire chief on those accounts. He's not gonna go writing checks out of it, but at least he'd be on the account
Yeah.
in the event that something happened.
But we're still talking about trying to mandate who's on the account and this and that on accounts that the county doesn't have anything to do with.
I was gonna say, I don't wanna be on an account that's not.
well, I would just
affiliated with the
suggest
county.
you stick like Kel Batman, or
Yeah. It needs to be
instead
at
of
least
having
2
just a
signatures.
couple on there, I mean, you need someone outside of that circle,
Yeah,
Yeah,
if it's Harold and Diane,
yeah.
I mean, or you, or somebody else that's up there.
They need to be firefighters, part of that,
Yep.
part of the deal, not a spouse or anything like that, they need to be firefighters on it.
I mean, I can make the recommendation to them. But I do agree on any standby. I mean, it's hard to make a standby and say we're gonna do it on this date. But I mean, they should be able to contact you and tell them we wanna do a standby, and then that way when they call, you can look into it, and when they call you and say, we're wanting to do it this day because the wind's down. And I do think that everybody that does a standby should pay for it.
Yeah, cause I mean, if you're paying firefighters and using county equipment, I mean, I think it should be that way that they get some reimbursement out of it.
Yep.
You know, and quite honestly, I'll tell you right now, I just approved for the St. John station. We had a guy that Sunday morning, his control burn got out of control, and he contacted me yesterday. And he said, we would like to try to finish burning that Saturday. He said, but we're just a little bit leery. He said, you know, would you guys wanna come down and either do a standby or help us, or I said, well, I'll pass it on to the chief and let him make that decision, but I think he's wanting to get his guys trained, and so they're gonna go down there, and the guy said that he would pay for a standby and donation and write a check for everything. So all that money's gonna come back to the county. It'll be earmarked for St. John.
So if they write the standby check that goes to the county for $150, and then they want to donate money to the sewage station, Hudson, whatever, for an additional money, they write a separate check, and then they,
They can put it all on one, cause it all goes in the same place.
And we could break it out.
but do they need to write the memo, $400 to, I mean, how do you keep that
Just tell
separate?
Marshall. Well, we have allocation sheets, like when they bring their money up, it's coded to different funds, like fire reserve or fire whatever. And then we have an auxiliary fund.
Is that auxiliary from Maxwell, St. John?
It's a commingled fund, but then they have a spreadsheet that they track. Maxwell has
Earmarks.
X amount, St.
For
John
each-
has
for each
X
one.
amount.
Do you tell the county, the
And-
different departments, do they know what they have?
Mhm.
And those expenses don't come through you guys. If Marshall says, I need $200 out of that auxiliary fund, we just write him a check for it. I mean, it doesn't run through you guys.
To your knowledge, are there any other rural fire departments that have a,
Absolutely not. Seward is the only one.
and
They
the rest
used
of
to.
them are through the auxiliary and earmarked? for
They,
each?
they all used to.
Well, the donation stuff does not go through the auxiliary, it goes back into our regular budget, fire department budget.
Mhm.
And I earmark it every time we get one. The end of the year, I just figure that in with our transfer to the reserve. And so like when Maxville bought their rescue equipment and I think it was $500 or something, Jeremy said, can I get that money so that we can put it towards this equipment?
Mhm.
And so I just done a voucher, pulled it from the reserve, the $500 that was earmarked for them, and they bought their stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't question what they spend their money on. I don't tell them, no, you can't buy that with it, because it was a donation to that station for equipment. So that's what they were using it on.
But it is kept.
But at least we have a tracking of it, and we know,
So that way, if Todd Wyckoff comes back and says, hey, did Seward get my donation? He can say, yeah, on this date and this date. But
I think the recommendation of putting a different, you know, other than the two spouses, and then I don't think it's out of line to ask for you could at least recommend that they give us an annual report. What if somebody does pass away and leaves them $100,000?
I'll make that recommendation to them.
You know?
that's all I have, unless you guys have anything for me.
I think that's enough.
Yep.
So we'll be about done, hopefully burning all this CRP in the next week or so.
Yep.
When's the
When's the
last-
cutoff date on that?
15th?
Is there,
I was thinking it was either the 1st or 15th.
I think
I
it's
was thinking
15th of
15th.
April. Yeah.
which will
Coming
be
up on
tomorrow,
us.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is it April or May?
April.
I think it's April.
Really?
Yeah, because the pheasants will be nesting here pretty quick.
Yeah. I don't know if I told you guys that fire was like 4,400 and some acres up
I
there.
saw the drone pictures of it.
too.
Did it ever get over onto Quivira?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
How does that work? I had a citizen approach me and ask, if the fire gets over on Quivira, we help them fight the fire?
Is that a case-by-case scenario?
Say that 4,400 acre fire goes over onto Quivira and it's raging towards Quivira, big west wind. Do we help them fight the fire?
We offered, they declined.
They have their own, they have their own fire department.
They have their own crews, and we contacted Quivira. So the far east side of what burned in Stafford County, that was actually county property, you know, citizen owned, half a mile by, I don't know, whatever, it's another 3 miles. So it's actually like a half a mile, and that road curves back up in there, all the way to K-19. Part of that was Quivira. I mean, it spread and got on them. Now, when they got there, they went on to the refuge across the road to the east, and they done a bunch of backburning to keep it from
Yeah.
jumping over there and getting out of hand before it got there. But we monitored the east side for Quivira while they were doing their backburn, and as soon as they got done with their backburn, they come over and said, we can leave. So, didn't hurt my feelings, we had other things to do, and
Yeah. How many times a year do you think that we're on Quivira fighting fire?
since I've been here, one time.
Okay.
So, now in the past, it was a lot more, but
Yeah.
the bad thing is, and just like this ground up there, there's limited access, and if you don't know
Yeah,
where
it's
you're
swampy.
going, you end up in a mud hole with a truck that's sitting on the frame,
Yeah.
and then you gotta figure it out.
Mhm.
And I knew, prior to that fire up there, I knew Quivira had been shut down the week before. They had all the gates locked going into it, because there was water running over the roads and they didn't want people driving through it,
Yeah.
so. And at nighttime,
Yeah, I would think at nighttime you could be driving through what you thought is CRP or salt grass,
Yeah.
and then just fall in a hole and be
And if
disappear.
if you've seen them pictures of that the drone took there Saturday, you can see what we were up against, because it's everything that's burnt, and then there's a million water holes out there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, pretty much on that stuff that we fought, that if you got off the 2-track road out in them fields, that's where you sat.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no getting off the roads, so.
Okay.
All righty, I'm gonna get these letters sent out today then.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Marshall.
Carolyn?
This is the resolution that establishes a hearing. I don't know if you need a copy, but, to initiate the process for designated tax and finance district. So, it designates the hearing on May 19th, I believe. At 8 o'clock in the morning before a regular commission meeting.
Is the hearing?
It's a hearing, so we'll need to publish notice of the hearing.
Yeah, are they doing this? Okay, commissioners. So it's not gonna be during regular commission meeting?
Well, I didn't think
Just
of that.
asking.
You know
I
what?
don't know.
You're probably right. I didn't think of it that way. We could say 8:30, or it does say or is practical. I think it's worded something about 8 o'clock.
Soon
or
thereafter, as the matter can be heard.
So if you wanna do it at 8:30, we can do it at 8:30.
As soon thereafter, yeah, I just can't hear until
Do you have
8:30. My ears don't turn on until 8:30.
If we do the TIF district and start doing the hearing, if we do the hearing and we get the TIF district set up, and then the stuff falls through with Winfield Grain, or the funding doesn't come through the KDOT, then can we rescind the TIF district?
Can it be undone?
I would assume
See,
it
I
can
don't
be.
know. He doesn't know either. I
Yeah.
asked him.
Can you find that out for us?
Yeah.
You see what we're saying? We don't want a piece of ground out there that's basically tax exempt with
On other
nothing.
people's ownership.
Yeah, with
Because
nothing.
it's not actually owned by the court
Yeah.
today.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only thing, we're 100% in support of it.
And it'll
We just
be
don't wanna
published in the
get
Stafford
ourselves
Courier.
into a situation in the future if, worst case scenario, something happened to our project,
Right.
you know, that, the people that own it could go build a big grain facility, their own grain facility, or, you know, any future oil and gas development, future, I mean, there's a lot of different things that
Right.
could go down.
Is the way to handle this to go ahead and establish the hearing and then really probably in a public way, answer that question at the hearing?
Yeah, because
I don't
this-
have a problem doing the hearing.
This resolution doesn't form a TIF, this
No.
resolution is for the public hearing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't have a problem doing this, and then by the next time we see it, we can have a kind of a definitive answer on. I would assume that you could, anything that's
Right.
created by us could be rescinded by us, but maybe not.
Right. Another way I could ask the question is, can you make the enactment of the TIF dependent on
Yeah,
a condition that development occurs by the Port Authority?
Yeah. That would probably be the best deal.
So we'll
you're
change it
thinking,
to 8:30.
you're thinking awful hard over there, Mike.
See, part of this.
I'm running that through my head a little bit.
These TIF districts.
Yeah, but part of why I feel like that going ahead with beginning the process now is advantageous is that when I apply for funding, I want to be able to say with some certainty
Yeah.
that the funding from the TIF is available to use for debt repayment that's not covered by whatever grants we get, you know?
Mhm.
Because it does, I mean, we did talk about the intent to do a pay-as-you-go approach, and
Sounds good.
So two changes. One would be the Stafford Courier rather than St. John News.
oh,
You
okay.
just wanna email me this document and then I can change them, and can they do this next week? Or does it need to be due now?
Well, to be able to give the proper number of weeks of advance notice before the next action, I think we need to start.
Publish this notice once in the county paper, not less than 1 week or more than 2 weeks preceding May 19th.
Okay.
The date set for the public hearing.
Can we approve it now and then sign it when the correction's been made?
Yeah, I mean.
Today's the 14th. We do it the 21st.
I mean, we're still gonna be here in 20, 30 minutes. She could run
Yeah,
back and make
I
the
think
changes.
I might even be able to
if you need
send
it.
you from here.
Cause it just says 8:30 on the one, on section one, doesn't it? I didn't see any
Yeah.
other day.
Yeah.
That's on the plan. It's 14th.
Do they need to put Dr. Clayton Grants or?
So St. John Development District is what you're calling this?
I think it's St. John Development District 2, is it not?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one would be the grocery store, this one would be the second one. I just emailed you. I hope it.
There you go. Use this one. I assume you had several to use.
Made some edits along the way.
Okay, let me change that. And then. Okay, now let me see if I can figure out how to print this dude.
Control P.
Well, I have to find the right printer,
Oh,
and
I see.
it's, yeah. It's kind of taxing on me.
Do we need to recess for a little bit?
Would you?
We'll recess for a little bit.
I make a motion that we approve resolution 2021-15.
Second?
It's been moved and second, we adopt resolution 2021-15. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, do you want us to sign this one? or-
Yeah, just sign the back page of that one. And then I'll get those changes and print it and get it to the paper. It has to run 1 week or 2. I think it's 1.
Not less than one, but no one.
Okay, I'll probably run it 2.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Carolyn.
you.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the April 7th, 2021 meeting.
Second.
Then moved and seconded, we adopt the minutes of April 7th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Yep, yeah, so, yeah. Okay. Okay.
Just one tax roll correction.
Mhm.
Property in Stafford, refund of $277. Make a motion that we approve the tax roll correction.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve the tax roll correction. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Is Misty here yet?
I don't think so.
Is Rob around?
He was.
Was.
Carol, we recess.
Give it back to look.
I just wanted to bring good news today. Commissioner Wykoff, what you're asking about with the Lucas device, we got approved. I just got this on Monday, so I wanted to bring this in to you guys to show you. The Lucas device, we have to pay the $3601.55 for it, but it is a $14,406.22. Now, what we'll have to do is actually take that out of our reserve fund initially. Once we get that paid for, then they will send us a check that we put back into the reserve fund. And we have $48,203.93 in it right now.
Okay.
So, just letting you guys know the course of action for that.
Wow.
What's the amount?
What is he on, 3,000?
3601.55.
And that's our 25% match.
Yeah. So the total cost of it is right around 14,000 something?
Yeah, this right here.
Yep.
14,406.22 is the total cost of
Yeah.
the units.
So we write a check for that, take it out of the reserve fund, and then they'll reimburse us $10,804.
Yes, and we'll put that back into the reserve fund.
Okay. So our motion needs to be for this 14,406.
Do we need a
Or do
motion?
we-
Do we need a motion for that?
It's up to you guys.
Yeah, we don't need one if we don't have to have that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Because
Cool.
we
That's
authorized her to submit the grant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one of your, I think it was somebody's signatures on that, one of you
Yeah.
guys. I don't remember which lucky one it was, but I think it was Wykoff.
It was?
Yeah, I think it was you.
It's a while back.
Yeah, yeah. So that's all I had for you guys, so good news.
I have a question about AEDs.
Okay,
You go around and check them?
our crews do, and then
All of them
also
in the
the
county?
gentleman from, what's that
Stop.
called? First Response comes down in January of every year, and he
checks
makes
them once a
rounds.
year.
And he
Yes.
says if it needs new pads or if we need a new one, which we did, and
Mhm.
he does the maintenance.
So it's whoever has the AED on the premises is responsible for that
Yes, for the pads and the
And for-
upkeep and, yes.
and the battery.
Mhm.
So do you have the batteries or does?
He has the batteries.
So,
I had somebody call me just the other day about an AED, and they needed equipment for it, so I gave them his number, and
Okay.
he was able to get them the equipment that they
Okay.
needed. So, the only thing we're responsible for are the county ones, like at the courthouse.
right.
Yeah, but everybody else is responsible for their
And there's
equipment.
Do we have one over here?
Yes.
Is there one here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By the front.
we were in session one day and the guy came in and was testing it out.
Yeah, he was here not long ago.
Yeah, but then you go, do you check the ones at the school
Yes,
and the senior centers and the Odd Fellows and?
yes.
So you guys do check that?
Yeah, we
The one
usually
at the
go
lunch.
around. Uh-huh, yeah.
Okay.
We have
Because we had
Arthur
some
doing that.
concern, we're open in the mornings from like 6 to 9.
Mhm.
And
At
then
the
in the
lodge?
evening, yeah,
Oh.
but then nobody's ever contacted, so we're like, has it been getting checked? And we're like, well, I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure Michelle keeps up on that one because she's a Rebecca out at the lodge, and so she's always telling us when their new pads need or anything like that. I'm there every Sunday, so I can even look at it if I need to,
Yeah, I mean,
but I never really thought about it.
and on the lodge deal, just get what you need and
Mhm.
we'll pay the bill,
Okay,
so.
sounds good.
Because I mean, my worst fear is you need it and then something's wrong with it.
Oh, yeah, that happened at the school.
Yeah, because then, I mean, I think you'd be liable, wouldn't you, if you hadn't kept up on your stuff, Mike?
I think it's a good Samaritan.
Certainly could.
Yeah.
Or is that
Yeah.
falling in a good Samaritan? You had it,
If they looked back and they said you haven't done any maintenance on it in 10 years, you wouldn't be under the Good Samaritan. If they came in and checked it, if we had it checked every 6 months, and they said you tried to keep up on it, but the battery went dead in the day before, I think you'd fall under the Good Samaritan.
And
Yeah, because that
I mean-
happened with the school, their batteries were dead when they needed them.
There's something about negligence, right?
Right.
If
Right.
we can prove
Mhm.
negligence, then we're gonna be in trouble.
okay.
What's the lifespan on one of those, do you know?
10 years, I
10
believe
years,
is what he
that's why we
said.
had to buy a new one.
Yeah,
at
10
the
years,
courthouse.
yeah.
We might have looked,
It's been 10 years. My God.
It has, hasn't it?
The lodge the same way. It's
yeah, that's
10
what I wonder, how old the lodges is. Is there a date on the back of them or something?
Well, what's his name will tell us.
Yeah, he
Yeah, I
did.
think he
did this.
recommended the,
Mhm.
buying the new one, didn't he?
See, what I'm
For
worried about
us,
with
yeah.
him is if he goes up if he's not there before 9,
I don't
Then
know,
I
he's
don't
supposed
think
to be
he
doing
checks it.
all of them in the county.
Yeah, he's got a list
Mhm.
at all of them, he's supposed to go check. So, and he'll call us and tell us the pads were bad on this one.
So is there,
and evening
does
ones.
he charge it, does he have a fee?
Oh, yeah, we pay
He
it yearly
he charges us like $400 and some dollars to
For
go
the
check
county.
them all. Mhm.
to go around.
see, we figured there'd be a tag in there that was signed and dated when they checked.
Like a fire.
There
extinguisher
I don't think-
almost.
It's like a fire extinguisher,
I don't think there's one in there.
isn't it?
I don't think there is.
At the
one.
lodge?
Yeah, we can look at it tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to go, yeah. I'll ask Michelle too, because normally she's pretty good at keeping up on the one at the lodge, so, because she's in and out of there, so. But like I said, I can go, you might check that out and see if there is a signature.
Okay.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure he checks those. We'll make sure if it's on the list or whatever, pull up his list to make sure it's there, so. Otherwise, we have Arthur circling around doing it, so, when he has spare time.
Yeah.
Okay?
Anything else
That'll
working
work.
good?
Awesome. I want to let you know, we did get a schedule figured out for the A class that I was going to put Michelle and Bailey through, and we're looking to start that May 24th, and they should be done August 2nd. So we're doing it 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 4 hours a day, getting it knocked out that way. So it should take us, less than 3 months to get them done. So
Cool.
we're excited about that, getting ready to start. So yeah, I got this paperwork getting ready to submit on Friday, so hopefully we'll get approval and be ready to go.
Great,
So,
Good.
okay.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session for 5 minutes to discuss attorney-client privilege. Commissioners need a county attorney and the sheriff.
Second.
Been moved second, we go into executive session for attorney-client privileges for 5 minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Anything else?
Do we want to talk about the extension use contract thing?
Oh, yeah,
I don't have my copy of that.
I got a copy of it and I made a note on there. The only change that I would propose is that it says the Board of County Commissioners of Stafford County, Kansas agrees to allow the Extension District 21 to occupy the address here. And in parentheses, it says west side of Annex. I just crossed that out and then just put office space and shared use of meeting room and kitchen.
Yeah.
That's my
I think that's,
And then not charge rent, and
yeah,
then if it comes up that somebody wants to rent the kitchen or rent that room and this room is tied up, then we at least have,
So you're gonna have to print that back up.
Okay.
We'll do
I'll do
that.
it for
I,
next week.
We'll do that next week.
I think that would be,
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea, because if you have bigger groups, you know, and you wanna do like a breakout session, you could put one in the smaller room. But then Amy needs to realize she's gotta find someplace else to store stuff that she's been storing in that room. It needs to be, you know,
Presentable.
we're gonna use it in a week, so you need to get cleaned up, it needs to be kept cleaned up all the time.
and then if there's something, I mean, I guess as landlords of that space, if there's something that we need to do to secure their offices in the way of a different, like a keypad lock or something like that, to where, you know, maybe that's the best thing is to put in a
There's a
key.
door between their offices and that room or not?
Yeah, I think there is.
there? I
Yeah.
think there is.
There's a door, and I believe there's a lock on it, but maybe we need to switch it out to a keypad, because if she's not there, you know, then you're switching keys around, having to hunt down a key.
You know,
And you could come in on the backside.
do we
Yes.
wanna look over there before, while we're talking about this, and see what doors, cause I mean, on their two office doors, they could put a key door on it.
Yeah, they could.
And then
I'm just
basically
saying,
you'd
if
walk
they,
into
if
the
they would
reception
want
area.
something like that, additional security or something, I would be okay with doing what would make them feel comfortable. If we're gonna use,
Or if somebody was using their side, they could come in from that back door too. And stay
Yes.
totally out of their front office.
yeah,
Yeah, because I think those offices in the front should be secured.
Yeah.
So they would just use the back door to come in.
Which would be easy, I mean, it's just right there.
Yep, that'd be fine with me.
In the past, when they've used that over there for graduation parties, because I know Michelle Houston used it for her son, that everybody just came to the back.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, if, we would just tell them,
yeah.
Okay.
it was through the back.
That, yeah, so shared room, if they ask what that means, that either one, do we need, if
It's not the
they're,
exclusive use of it.
yeah,
We're, you know, it's not that we're gonna plan something every other day in there.
Right.
It's just that
so then,
there might be a conference or situation where we could use that, or if somebody wanted to rent the kitchen for some reason.
Yeah.
yeah, so would that be like the annex, what do you call this room, just the annex room?
Community rooms.
The community room where they'd go through you to book it? I would say that it needs to be the same way on this other room, because if somebody
Large and
calls,
small community room.
yeah, that if somebody calls and wants to book it and talks to Nita about it, and then Amy goes, well, no, we've got a 4-H deal. I would say that if Amy has a because some of the 4-H groups meet there, I would say Nita should be in charge of it, and even if Amy wants to use it, she needs to contact you and say, we're using it this day.
For after school
Or
or.
have a
Yeah.
calendar.
Have a calendar for it. And
Yeah,
it needs to be kept
well,
up.
it wouldn't be a big deal, because we have a calendar for the big room.
Yeah.
And that way, if something happens there, if it's not kept clean, then a guy has an idea of what's going on. There's restrooms in the back, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
I would like to look at that before we leave, but sounds good.
Anything else? We'll adjourn.